Hello, friends. This is Jim here with Science Talk. I have a study that was published in the journal Scientific Reports, and a study that was done by researchers at the University of Tokyo. And they're basically examining what will happen with a half a degree rise. And what they're basically stating is that half a degree rise will make heat impact far worse. It may make it far worse because of new evidence that it could make a huge difference to rainfall and drought. So these Japanese scientists have found new evidence that a global average temperature rise as small as half a degree will have a drastic effect. And basically, as I stated at the outset, it will impact rainfall and drought. Usually there's one of two ways that can happen. Dry areas will tend to be drier as the planet warms. Wet areas will get wetter. So you can have one of two things. You have high heat. If there's a dry area, it will dry the ground out further, and then that make that region prone to droughts. On the flip side, warmer air can hold more moisture. If you have a wet region or a moist region, it will get wetter. But then if it gets so wet, when it does precipitate, it could lead to flooding. So that's kind of it's that 1-2 combination: heat and drought, or heat and floods. That will be kind of extremely unpleasant. Although the average intensity of each flood or drought would increase measurably, the intensity of the most extreme event could be even more intense, 10 times greater. That is, the worst imaginable floods 80 years from now would be 10 times worse than the worst today. Let me repeat that again. The worst imaginable floods 80 years from now would be 10 times worse than the worst today. So, we already know the planet is a degree C warmer, and if humans keep going on present form, keep doing as without changing habits or energy infrastructure, the models are indicating, the scientists are warning that we could hit 3 degrees C by century's end, at least, if not more. 4 or 5, maybe 6 degrees C. There's some, because what's happening is we're seeing, everyone's assuming, or people who deny, they're assuming a linear increase. We're now seeing the evidence that things are ramping up exponentially. So as ice from Greenland and Antarctica start to melt, the melting will increase exponentially. The temperatures will increase exponentially. So this is why some researchers are basically saying 3 degrees by 2050, and some other models are saying 4 or 5 by 2050, and definitely 4 or 5, 6 by 2100, depending on the models. So there's this exponential aspect. This is also the feedback kicking in. Feedbacks are kicking in right now. It's there. It's happening. So I'm at the point now where I'm not going to say climate change. I'm going to say climate crisis, at least when it pertains to humans. Because in terms of human survival, it is a crisis. And also the rate of change is such that it's happening too fast to allow animals to adapt naturally. So it puts them at risk, and of course we're in the middle of a 6th great extinction. So this will be calamitous for humans and a lot of life forms on the planet. Sure, some will survive. Evolution will keep on going. You get new forms, new, radiative, adaptive, forms appearing. Sure, that will happen. But in terms of human, we're kind of sitting in a pot, boiling ourselves to death. That's kind of what we're doing. We're sitting there and we just keep turning the flame up under our butts. So the scientists have demonstrated just a half a degree more would see sea levels rise by 10 centimeters, May not sound like much, but think about how much volume that is. Threaten the existence of already vulnerable small island states, think Maldives, and low-lying coastal floodplains. Puts at risk the survival of the coral reefs and the Arctic ice. I just did a video about the sea ice dwindling. The latest study, and Arctic ice could also refer to Greenland's ice as well. The latest study simply addressed a phenomenon known in the scientific parlance as the event-to-event hydrological intensification index. Basically what this states is the overall temperature rises, then so do the extremes of temperatures. And basically this is what they're meaning by the average, the mean of all the extremes. That's interesting. The mean of all the extremes. But if average temperature rises, so does the capacity of air to hold moisture. We know that, right? Which means when it does rain, it will rain harder and more of it. And when it doesn't, the groundwater will evaporate more easily, drying out the ground. That leads to drought. That also leaves the vegetation more vulnerable to fires. So, areas such as the U.S. Southwest, which is already prone to heat and drought, can expect more heat waves, more forest fires, more intense prolonged drought, while the Northeast could see more flooding. So these researchers from the University of Tokyo, as they reported in Journal Scientific Reports, they looked at the difference of outcome between 1.5 C and 2 degrees C in a world that's already rapidly warming up, to find that when it came to rainfall and the attendant floods, droughts, mudslides, harvest failures, and water shortages, even half a degree beyond the ideal would make the very bad 10 times worse. So these scientists conclude the high damage potential of such drastic changes between flood and drought conditions poses a major challenge to adaptation, and the findings suggest that the risk could be substantially reduced by achieving a 1.5 degrees C target. Now, to be realistic here, I don't see that being likely. I'll be blunt. I do not think this is possible. Not looking at the current trends, and again, you could stop, if you were to stop greenhouse gas emissions on the dime right this moment, the thermal inertia in the system alone, thermal inertia, thermal momentum, whatever you want to think of it as, will blow past 1.5 and probably blow past 2. So it is not pretty, and it is going to get very bad and very ugly in the coming years and decades, in the very short term. And you couple that with the ever-increasing human population, dwindling resources, the dwindling land, along with these conditions, something will give. Something definitely will give. I am thinking about putting together a video explaining carrying capacity, where I will try to explain that and relate that to the number of humans on this planet. So that's going to be in the works, a little bit down the road, but it's on my things to do list for this channel. Anyway, thank you for your time, but this is some dire warning that people need to heed and act upon to reduce any adverse results down the road. We'll talk soon. Hey folks, this is Jim here reminding you to please subscribe to my channel and please share my videos with others. Also remember to click the bell so that you know when I drop in a new video. I also ask that you please consider becoming a patron of my channel and support the work that I do by going to patreon.com/Science Talk with Jim Massa, each word separated by an underscore, and becoming a patron. It's asking for as little as $3 a month, cost of a cup of coffee, to support the work I do and keep my informative videos coming your way. Thank you for your support.